After days of deadly cross-border clashes, Pakistan and Afghanistan agreed to a 48-hour truce along the volatile Durand Line. The Taliban, TTP attacks and regional rivalries fuel uncertainty, while international mediators and global powers watch closely. The guns are quiet for now, but history warns that peace here is fragile and fleeting. Tensions between Pakistan and Afghanistan reached a temporary ceasefire after days of fighting. Starting at 6 p.m. local time on October 15th, both sides agreed to pause hostilities for 48 hours, pledging to engage in dialogue and seek a positive resolution. The ceasefire comes after a period of intense fighting, described by both sides as the deadliest in years. The recent Afghanistan-Pakistan tensions began on October 9, 2025, when Pakistan conducted airstrikes in Kabul, targeting the leader of the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, following a militant attack on Pakistani soldiers. Islamabad accuses Afghanistan of harboring the TTP, a militant organization that has carried out hundreds of attacks across Pakistan over the past year. These airstrikes prompted retaliatory operations by the Afghan Taliban against Pakistani forces, resulting in cross-border clashes. Fighting involved airstrikes, ground clashes, and drone strikes along the Durand Line, the 1,600-mile border dividing the two nations. While both governments have signaled a willingness to de-escalate, the situation remains tense. Mediators from Qatar and Saudi Arabia intervened to halt ongoing operations, though casualty figures differ sharply between the sides. Pakistan has long insisted that Afghanistan must not serve as a base for attacks on its territory, while the Taliban must balance internal dynamics, including its relationship with the TTP, against the demands of its neighbour. Pakistan and Afghanistan share a long and complex history shaped by conflict, cooperation, and contested borders. The Durand Line has been a frequent flashpoint for skirmishes and military operations. Pakistan was one of the Taliban's main backers during its insurgency against the Afghan government in the early 2000s. Yet the two countries have also experienced cycles of mistrust and retaliation. Economic and social ties have kept the relationship alive. Pakistan has hosted millions of Afghan refugees, and the two nations remain important trading partners. Yet the resurgence of the TTP and repeated militant attacks have strained relations, with Islamabad accusing Kabul of failing to curb groups targeting Pakistani soil. This latest escalation coincided with Taliban Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi's visit to India, Pakistan's main regional rival. India's reopening of its embassy in Kabul and the visible warming of ties with the Taliban intensified Pakistan's sense of insecurity. Islamabad has long viewed Afghanistan as a strategic buffer against Indian influence, and shifts in the regional balance heighten stakes along the border. The TTP carries out attacks inside Pakistan primarily to overthrow the government and establish an emirate governed by a strict interpretation of Islamic law, mirroring the Afghan Taliban regime. Analysts caution that underlying issues extend beyond immediate clashes. Cross-border terrorism, Taliban internal politics, and regional rivalries combine to create a volatile mix. Historically, ceasefires have calmed tensions temporarily, but each flare-up can redefine long-standing calculations and alliances. The recent fighting drew attention beyond the immediate neighborhood. China, Russia, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia called for restraint and dialogue over military escalation. China, with growing economic interests in both countries, has played a mediating role, while Saudi Arabia and Qatar have historically acted as intermediaries in regional conflicts. US President Donald Trump also weighed in, offering to mediate peace. He told reporters,
"Well, look, this will be my 8th war that I've solved. And I hear there's a war now going between Pakistan and Afghanistan. I said, I'll have to wait till I get back. I'm doing another one because I'm good at solving wars. I'm good at making peace. And it's an honor to do it. I saved millions of lives."
His comments underline the global attention on the border clashes and the potential for outside diplomatic involvement. Whether both nations accept his offer remains uncertain. The ceasefire offers a reprieve, but experts warn that its longevity is uncertain. Islamabad frames itself as a stability provider for the region, yet the recent escalation underscores the fragility of this role. For the Taliban, balancing internal politics with regional diplomacy will be critical. The next few days will determine whether this 48-hour pause can lead to meaningful dialogue or become another fleeting moment in the long history of border conflict. The guns have quieted for now, but the lessons of the past remind both nations and their neighbours that peace along the Durand Line has always been fragile, and the cost of miscalculation is high.